It's going to go through the thing real quick here. It has a little preamp, and then we'll see it live in 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
It'll pop. Should be popping. I know he's already seeing us. Why do I need to refresh? Why is my screen not showing I'm live on air? All right, let me do this.
Shane, what'd you do, man?
What'd you do, Shane?
I tripped over some cord and messed everything up, apparently.
Right?
So
I'm double checking here, guys. Told you I've been having a little bit of problem with Rumble.
Reminds me of the time we were at MAGA Saturday and the mics wouldn't work.
Dude, isn't that crazy? You do all the prep and everything like
Yeah.
that.
We mic checked everything, and then
But the subtitles work. So you got to just hook up the subtitles.
Right? Well, the cool thing is I got this button where I can do that, and it refreshes my stream. It's showing my great stream. I just don't see it popping up over here on my. I want to confirm it before I get any deeper.
we don't want to disappoint our fans.
Dude, I blame the intern completely.
Yeah.
let me check on my. I'll check on my phone too. I tried to turn it off because I don't want to be looking at it every 2 seconds
check
like
on your
Larry
phone.
Parsons.
I mean, it says we're broadcasting, but I want to make sure because I'm not getting our normal reference feed over here. Hit the play button. It's not playing. I don't want to. Well, apparently they're. Yeah, Gypsy Magic's have seen us. Okay.
All right, Gypsy.
Sorry, guys.
Thanks for hanging in there with us, Gypsy.
Gypsy's he's a lifer.
Oh,
I mean, you won't be disappointed.
It's gonna be good stuff.
Oh my goodness, compelling.
Earth shattering.
Earth shattering.
Earth shattering.
All right, let me double check on this computer. Well, I don't understand right now. Says we're live.
oh,
You getting something? Somebody said, oh.
that was me. Negative.
Well,
Maybe there's a delay.
Maybe you forgot to pay your bill this month.
oh, you know what I forgot?
Hit the on switch.
Nope. I used Studio last week. It's a different key code. Dummy.
Amateurs.
Amateurs, man.
It's fucking
know
amateur hour here.
Same.
Amateur hour.
Sounds like you better bring that producer back.
Well, yeah, Tim Allen, if you're watching, we need you here.
You ever had Tim Allen on?
Tim or no,
That was
no.
who my- that's who my-
Tim Allen was the name of the producer.
Oh, well, I thought you meant the.
Oh, Tim the Tool Man.
Not the
Taylor.
tool, not the
Why
tool
not?
man. No,
Why haven't you asked him to come on?
I would. You know what? We've tried to reach out to him because he's
Yeah.
in the area
Yeah,
for
yeah.
events and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Never got anything from him. It would be cool, but no,
Yeah.
hasn't happened.
Who is the
Not for
guy
lack of
that
trying.
always got
Who's the
things
biggest
done?
one you've had on besides us?
That's a good question. You gentlemen, of course.
Thank you.
We had the guy who runs Stewart Rhodes from Oath Keepers on.
Yep.
We had
Just recently, right?
just recently
Yeah.
the gentlemen who were falsely accused of kidnapping Gretchen Whitmer.
Mhm.
Oh, those
They're
are
friends of the
Allegan County guys.
podcast. They're
Yeah.
on pretty, down several times. But
John Smith, that's your
John-
biggest, probably your biggest guest ever.
mostly though it's like want local people.
Yeah.
So he's been twisting my because I do writing work for Roger Stone.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been twisting my arm to bring Roger on. So one of these days,
Yeah, dude,
when's your birthday?
November 4th. It's a
You
long
gonna
time.
surprise him?
Okay, 8 months you'll get Roger.
Look
Keep
at
treating
that.
me well. Keep feeding me well. In 8 months you'll get Roger. Okay.
Right?
But so yeah, a lot of it's we do. We've had like some people who trying to think like people nationally who were involved in like the they want to push the defend the guard bill. Like people who kind of created the bill, they were on. But mostly it's like activist kind of driven type
So-
content.
Because that's authentic,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and that's I think what we're going for is kind of like a local beat type podcast.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're glad to be part of it, and thank you for inviting us out to it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is going to be good. I think we'll be able to get a lot of because I love taking like a bit of maybe 20, 30, 40 seconds and then chopping it up and putting it on TikTok and on Facebook. And that's the kind of things that will go viral and people will actually watch.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we'll be able to get a lot of good bites out of this one that can go to the delegates and really be impactful. So,
or they could use it for information
mm-hmm.
because that's what we were spreading around our area and throughout the people in charge of the different districts and the county chairs. But this would be good for even the precinct delegates to be able to see this,
of course,
statewide.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
you get a lot of folks from the UP interested in your this podcast too.
I know I have
we're still trolls.
a handful of people that I know from the UP area.
Okay.
That I send it to, but I'm not too familiar. I invited Dan Bonamy on, but he couldn't may have been like how many hours of drive for him, pretty far, but
should have came in last night for the shindig.
Yeah. There you go.
There was an invite.
He could have been in the green room this morning, all ready to go.
He could have done the producing that was necessary to get this thing going on time.
I did not realize that the key was wrong and how much it takes for me to go back and find the correct key. I apologize sincerely, guys.
Oh, hey, we're on your time here, Jeremy.
We're good.
We're good, man.
I'll take that. Give me just a couple more minutes. We are live on the other channels.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So
It's the F.
What other channels are there?
we're on X. We're also on Facebook Live on the This Is My Brain.
This Is My Brain on Facebook?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't say anything too messed up then just now.
Oh, so we're live. We're live.
Not knowing
already.
we were
We're
live.
already.
It was funny. We're on there's another technical difficulty when we were on. It's me and I don't know if you guys know Christian Megan Kelly.
Yes.
And we were on pre-on.
Yep,
we didn't think we were on.
Yeah.
The hot mic.
Yeah.
And we were talking all kinds of shit and luckily nothing too crazy was said. But it was like 6 minutes of us just going on and on.
But like Rich said, that's authentic.
Mhm.
So I mean, sorry for your feelings if they got hurt.
Yeah. Tell it like it is. Tell it like it is.
Yeah. Yeah, Kristen, I know. Well, she's in my district. So
She's on your executive committee, right?
On the executive committee. Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like her these days.
Well, she's. You know what? She's fighting for her people, and that's what I commend about her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and to me, as a D4 chair, I try to stay neutral on everything, but I love the fact that everybody's fighting for all their people, and when it comes down to it, in the end,
Yeah.
we all got to rally behind.
Yeah, you've got a sincere person who cares a lot about the cause of liberty, who is active and will, get her people on board for Republicans. And, a lot of people in the party will be like, well, let's shun that person. Let's throw them out.
Shun the non-believer.
No. She holds a lot of power. And I realize that. And I think she does have a pretty huge following too. So, but,
yeah, I mean, some of her posts on Facebook get thousands of likes and
she's
huge
a veteran.
engagement. Yes,
that's huge, man. I love our veterans. So, but there's things that like I'll disagree, but that's what human nature is all about, disagreeing. But then there's times where she's made me change my mind on things too. So I mean. That's what I love about D4. We have a variety of all different people in our district. So you hear all different kinds of sides in our district, and you just kind of take that and try to make the right decisions on everything. So
yeah, diversity of opinion.
Yes.
Not, you must do this, you must support this candidate, or you're ousted. You're unilaterally removed as a delegate.
Right.
Because we know which candidates can actually win.
We'll tell you who the candidates. Hey, I think we're going. We're going.
Hey, all right.
Hip hip hooray. We'll tell you what candidates are viable. We'll tell you what candidates the big money wants.
Yes.
And then you will support them, or you're a bad Republican, bad American, and should be removed. Oh,
There.
we are good. Mission accomplished. Oh, maybe not. I'm frozen.
No, I paused it. For
Oh, you paused it? Okay.
And then I started back up to make sure. So it should be good now.
Perfect.
Let's hit the live button again. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's me sitting down. And I should make sure my microphone's good. All right, I apologize for that, guys. We're finally here, on Rumble, but we were already on the other one, so I apologize. So I'll race through this real quick, just so we got it. Let me find it here and do this. 1 second. So I already welcomed our guests. You guys didn't get any of that, but most of you see who's in there, and you saw the description in the chat. So here, I'm going to do this real quick, and we'll just move on from there. There we go. Notice this podcast is raw, unfiltered, and politically incorrect, completely politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas and the Pledge of Allegiance, especially the part about one nation under God. We give thanks to our troops, thank them for their service. We only recognize three genders now, gentlemen, male, female, and mentally ill. As adults, we enjoy adult beverages. I think I'm the only. Oh, Shane's got an adult beverage. Go to the overhead shop there. Cheers. Oh, and water. Is that adult beverages?
Water.
Adult beverages. All right. Cheers.
It's whatever you gave me in here, so I'm assuming it's water.
It's vodka in a water bottle. Classic.
Tequila.
Classic.
Anyways, we cuss. We do not curse or swear. Please look up the definitions of those. There's a huge difference. The opposite of curse is blessing. When you swear, you're pledging or swearing allegiance. Cussing is simply dropping an F-bomb or a few other choice words.
Don't do that.
Look them up. We love Jesus, but we hate religion and religious hypocrites. If any of this offends you, you can go ahead and leave. Bye-bye.
Get
All
out.
right, and
But I got a disclaimer.
you got a disclaimer tonight?
From the great George Washington.
Oh, that's right. You had the quote tonight.
Okay.
I put it in the. See, I had it.
A lot of people in the Republican Party are saying that you have to support who the party tells you. You have to be a party line person.
Party guy.
Support who the money says, because if we got to win as a party, and that's all that matters. Well, the founding fathers disagreed. This is a George Washington quote from the his farewell address. Here's what he said: "The common and continual mischiefs of the spirit of party are sufficient to make it the interests and duty of a wise people to discourage and restrain it. It agitates the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms, kindles the animosity of one part against another, foments occasionally riot and insurrection. It opens the door to foreign influence and corruption, which finds a facilitated access to the government itself through the channels of party passions." George Washington felt that was important enough to include it in his farewell address after he was leaving the presidency. So he felt this was very important to talk against political parties and the ruinous effects they can have on the public liberty. And I think now we're bearing that out, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about, that we're dealing with right now in the Michigan Republican Party and the reforms that are coming forward to kind of clamp down.
So we really want to let the parties out there know that
you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
is that kind of what we're is? I mean, in a roundabout way.
something like that.
Something like that. All right, my bad. It was the only sound effect that was available at that moment. Well, all right, guys. That's a great quote from George Washington, and every time you dive back into history, you find more and more information from our founding fathers that they were. I just listened to a great documentary the other day. I can't even tell you the name of it, but it popped up and I listened to it, and it was about 2 hours long of just the whole process that happened during the Constitutional Convention and how they were replacing the Articles of Confederation for the new Constitution, and how much they labored over it, and how much back and forth there was, and how much just the dynamics of it and going through the history of it. It was really well put together, and I enjoyed listening to it. It's more insights, it just, every time you go back and you study more, you're like, wow, it's just crazy.
How long did it go before someone called the question?
Probably about 10 seconds. There was a bunch of people, man, and there was so one of the things I found out was the premise for the convention was to simply amend the Articles of Confederation.
Okay.
And when they got in there, they said, no, actually, we're just going to we're scrapping it and writing a whole new one. And so a bunch of delegates walked out immediately because they were kind of, taken aback that, wait a minute, we were supposed to come in and just, because a lot of the founding fathers didn't feel that it was necessary to change it.
So who walked out?
It was a whole group of guys.
Of
Delegates.
delegates.
Yeah.
Delegates, yes.
Yes.
So this delegate thing
Yeah.
is not a new thing.
No.
Tell us about that.
It
You know
really
what?
isn't. I mean, that was what states did. I mean, there were
Yeah.
men, there were folks from the 13 colonies that were all sent to Philadelphia. Was it Philadelphia? Correct me if I'm wrong. They were sent
Yes.
to work on this thing. And this concept of a delegate is as American as it gets.
And just the name itself, you're delegating because
Who is delegating?
we the people
The
is
people,
delegating
correct.
to a representative their authority. It's power of attorney type dynamics. It's all of that to where you're going, all right, you can act upon my behalf
Correct.
at my discretion, and I'm going to sign that. One of the ways that I've always liked to describe it is, a lot of people, feminists in particular, which they have problems with everything anyways, but they'll say, we didn't give women the right to vote, in the beginning and everything like that. I was like, yeah, it was predominantly white landowners. And I go, do you understand the dynamic there? It was promoting family, because a lot of times these were solid family units. They had to survive. This was, unclaimed territory for a first, wilderness territory that then built itself up. So they had a deep heritage. We're, 400 years removed from that dynamic. And, everybody lives in cities and we're clueless. We can't, we couldn't feed ourselves off the land to save our lives, most people. But I said, you've got your kids and your wife sitting at the table and they're having a discussion. The TV's not on. They're not playing on their phones. There's nothing else going on. You're going to have these discussions. You're going to talk about the effects on your family, whether you had a plantation or whether you had a blacksmith shop or whatever you had. You're going to have that discussion. And then dad's going to go either to church or to the tavern, and he's going to have that discussion with the other men of the community. And then they're going to say to one of the men in the community that they trust, that they think has their best interest, they're going to say, you go and represent us.
Keyword represent.
In the next phase of this community. It builds up and builds up and builds up to where you've got this successive layer of representation going on. And that's the dynamic when I look at delegates, is this constant, this group together then sends a representative, and then that he goes to another group, and then they put it. Even looking at how they were doing with the Senate, originally the Senate being elected by the states themselves or appointed by the states themselves, and then having that changed in the amendment process to where now it's a popular vote. Well, that flips the whole thing. We were supposed to have the representatives be our direct representation in Congress, state and federal. And then the Senate was supposed to be there representing the state interests of the state collectively. And now it's just become two factions of the same thing. And it muddies it all up from what the founding fathers looked at. And they knew it was a fragile system. They knew it was very, what Ben Franklin came out and said, what have you given us? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. Yeah. And that's a huge dynamic. And I look at this, when I became a delegate, it was because Tisha came and actually I listened to a podcast and this guy was talking about it, and he was in Arizona and he found out half the delegate seats were vacant. So he got his wife and him and all of his adult children, and they all got them all signed up and got him going, and he was doing podcasts. And then Tisha came on and we did a whole thing on here, like 2 different episodes of how to do it and sign up to be a delegate. And you're like, and then you start to see the party politics and how much they're undermining that. And you just go, dude. So
many good people get run out from the process and end up quitting because they're so inhospitable, treated like a cog. Your rights are, basically tread upon, and good people are like, I don't want anything to do with this process. And I think that's how it's done by design. They want to run off the good people so they can keep their, nexus of power within the establishment, the corrupt establishment,
100%.
and the big money.
It's the control factor. So let's dive into this, guys. Let's get into first of all the first note here, the Delegates Bill of Rights, and I know you've got your points that you want to get in. So let me know about those at any point, and we can pull those up too. But let's dive into, where do you guys want to start? You want to start right there at the Delegate Bill of Rights, or do we want to go in a little bit more history of delegates? from your guys' perspective, I pontificated from my
Or let's
perspective.
hear about, how did you guys get involved? Where are you from? And then we can go from there into
That's a good place.
why'd you embark on the Delegates Bill of Rights?
So, I mean, from the beginning, probably with politics, we
Give the
COVID.
nod, wink.
COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And Rich and I were part of an original group called We the Parents, and we fought against the school systems and everything like that. Had some pretty good successes, and then we decided to get involved locally with the politics, the Berrien County GOP, and then we got involved, got voted in. This is kind of the short summary of it, and and then let's see here. Last year was when I was voted in as D4 chair, but so it would have been in 2024. Rich is like, you got to run for D4 chair. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. So we end up holding this event called MAGA Saturday. And we had all the folks running for the chairman spot come speak, and they had a little discussion and everything like that. And we had to give our speeches of why we were running for D4.
Okay.
So I gave a little speech, and then went on to Detroit last February and got voted in as D4 chair. And that's when everybody's like, what are you going to do about this and this about precinct delegates? That's when all the stuff started happening as far as precinct delegates, hearing more of the story of a certain county who some of their precinct delegates got elected in the election during the process of getting elected in, and then all of a sudden they show up to their convention that fall, and they weren't allowed in on their county convention. They were told that they weren't
Eligible.
Yeah. So,
Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo.
Hey.
No, sorry.
So
Got a bad cough.
I'll give my version of Sean's story. So when I agree, it was we all got together and met each other when COVID happened,
Okay.
and
You guys were at a super spreader event?
no, yeah, probably, but there was some community organizing going on. Some people decided to put the word out. Come to these events and let's talk about what's going on. And to make a long story short, I think I had personally grown up thinking Republicans were the good guys. And by and large, yes, they are. But all of our Republican elected officials, or all of our county elected officials in Berrien County, are Republican.
Right.
And it's a 60-40 Republican voter electorate.
Yeah.
Well, what did we find out, though? We found out that the government really wasn't there to protect our rights during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
They were there to make sure that they didn't get sued, and that they were basically taking their orders from Lansing and from Washington, D.C. And when we finally realized that we couldn't count on our government to secure our rights, which is the reason that we have government, is to secure our rights. We realized that, and we're like, well, this is worse than we thought. This isn't really about COVID. This is about a sickness in our elected officials and in our government losing their way. And that set us on the path to get involved with the Republican politics and start fighting the fight.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful, because that dynamic of disconnect, when there's an R next to the name, but they're not doing anything that's actually protecting. That's why when I say the disclaimer, which nobody heard because I had the wrong stream up there, but we say deep in the heart of constitutional Livingston County, our commissioners fought against that. And in fact, if my memory serves, they rejected COVID money because they didn't want to. They want to do that, or didn't want to be under restrictions. Now there were still things that happened in there, and I remember we had the barber on.
Carl
Mankey.
Yep.
And he was talking about how one of the sheriffs came up there. It wasn't Darleaf, but it was another one of the sheriffs, or maybe it was the sheriff of his county. And he was in line, and the state cops showed up, and they looked at. They said, "Sheriff," they said, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "I'm here to get a haircut. What are you guys doing here?"
Mm-hmm.
And they were gonna arrest him. And he's like, "I don't think that's a good idea here, boys." And they had a line around the block of people, and that whole lockdown was horrible and garbage. I didn't realize, because we were in it, how bad it was
I mean,
I didn't realize
full blown Orwellian tyranny.
yeah, because we were in it, I was
Mhm.
like, okay, and I'm just rolling with it. I refused to wear a mask the entire time.
Right.
I did have a sock, the neck sock thing, when I went in to get my concealed carry, and we made it through the whole thing. And 5 minutes before we were done with our paperwork and walking out the door, some lady walked in with a full blown, the whole, I don't know, she probably had four or five masks, because it's just more common sense to have 4 or 5 masks.
Absolutely.
But
Dr. Fauci.
all of a sudden, the lady behind the counter, she goes, "Sir, can you?" And so I'm like, I pulled a little sock up over my nose and I just let her know with my eyes. I'm like, this is bullshit, and you know it, because they were required. But I got kicked out of more than one place because it was. But our Republican leadership should have been standing up hardcore for us, and so that was a big catalyst for you guys.
It was.
To come in there and go, wait a minute, if you're not going to represent us, especially on these things, because now we know that the 6 foot was arbitrary and made up. We know that, but there's a spiritual dimension behind that, because on average, 6 foot away from somebody else is where you start to lose the vast majority of your ability to read their spirit. Even if you're not a spiritual person, you come into somebody's presence at about 6 feet is where you lose that direct resonance. Now, if you're more attuned, if you're more in tune, well, you can walk into a room and you can look around and see, without even looking at people's face, you're like, somebody's pissed off in here. Somebody's happy,
Let's segue this back into delegates, because here was a situation. We were fighting against COVID tyranny. And then we started hearing these rumors of our own county Republicans kind of undermining us behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We really thought they would come and stand shoulder to shoulder with us. We weren't affiliated then.
Right.
We were just on our own.
Yep.
And then we found out that they were kind of trying to undermine us.
Yeah.
Kind of got us a little upset. And so we started signing up delegates.
To combat that.
And that fall convention,
yeah,
we cleaned house. And that's the beauty of the system, is where when things aren't working, you have a recourse where you can get politically active and organize your neighbors all around your county and do something about it. And I think it happened in many counties, not just
100%.
But that's the
turnout here was
importance
huge.
Of the system, is it gives a mechanism of redress for the grassroots regular American citizen to get involved in their local politics and make a difference.
And what's nice about Michigan is that there's a low barrier of entry. A lot of people are like, this is bad that there's a low barrier of entry because we can't vet the people. It's like, well, the people who run for delegate and the voters can vet them by not choosing not to elect them,
right,
or running against them if they don't like them the next term. You know what I mean? That's how you vet the process, but it's a relatively low barrier of entry. There's a lot of open spots. I've done this. I've been a delegate every time. I think there was one time I lost my delegates race because it was there was like 5 of us running for 4 spots and I lost, or 5 running for 3 spots, something like that. But other than that time, I've been a delegate since 2012 to now.
Wow.
And doing that, I've seen a lot of people get involved just as a delegate, and then they're part of the team. They start taking on more and more responsibility. Then next thing you know, they're running for local office. They're running for library board. They're running for school board. They're running for.
That's that identification process of finding a human being that'll serve.
Yep.
Somebody that's worthy of being delegated to.
That they're trustworthy. It's a wonderful filtering mechanism.
Yep.
Because an idiot sticks out relatively well. Some of them sneak out. I mean, the really the bad actors pop up quick.
They do. And when you don't see them, and then you find out when a crisis happens, when something's, crisis, what's the Chinese word means actually opportunity. And so you get these opportunities, right? And you find out that a bunch of people are either they're taking COVID money or they're whatever's going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
They go along with whatever garbage system is being foisted upon us. And you go, oh, wait a minute, you know, that's when you get the other people. But yes,
Well,
the majority
suddenly,
of the
I mean,
idiots are revealed right away.
And then suddenly when you have a successful group of delegates that
Yeah.
springs up and organizes, that's when things like Kalamazoo happens. and then all of a sudden you're presented with, you know, bylaws that Mr. Jefferson, who's on your wall, or Mr. Payne, who's on your wall, would have been
Yeah.
aghast at.
Oh,
Or all of a sudden we're going to change the number of how many delegates, you know.
That's the oldest trick in the book is like, oh, we've restricted the delegates by a third. It's like, why wouldn't you just make it? I mean, I've heard of places where if you want a delegate, you just show up with the people, you sign up that day, and then you vote. I would be in favor. I like our system the way it is, but I'd be in favor of that too. Whatever opens the process up to more people who want to get involved, why don't we allow that? Why don't we allow that?
Well, and I know from my perspective, I showed up and I had no clue. There was no training. There was nothing. When I ran, there was 11 people on the ballot for 7 spots. I got in on the 7th. I had the 7th amount of votes. So I was just squeaked in there. I show up at the convention, no clue. Thank God Joe Farkas was there with a paper and organized people in the parking lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I didn't know anybody. And then I walked in and there was a bunch of great people. I was greeting was all these grassroots people. And I felt like I was right at home. And I get in there and we're talking about, and I knew some of the names on the list that were voting for going to state convention. And it was just it was a really wild experience.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
So if you really want to boil this down, what is this all about? You know, why are we even here tonight? It's almost like this. We all understand how important the right to vote is in America. One person, one vote. But being a delegate and the delegate system is your access to the party mechanics, to the real machinery of politics.
Yes.
And having a low barrier to entry is the way that we keep that machine healthy, because it means when things start to go off in the ditch or off the rails, you can easily bring more people in that haven't been involved, that aren't sort of, you know, infected with and drunk on power.
Yes.
And bring sanity back to this thing. It's the corrective. It is the corrective vector for party politics.
And isn't that why they want to discourage more and more delegates
Well,
being involved?
exactly.
And
And you answer the question of why are there calls for vetting and why are there calls for restricting counts? It's because the people there may not want the corrective action.
Correct. Yeah, they want to maintain their little bit of. And I don't get it because I'm like, what? That's why I cited when we were talking at dinner about it's in Genesis. It says that God gave us dominion over the earth and the fish and the birds and the flocks and all this stuff, but He never gave us dominion over each other. And so I look at this and I go, this is an unpaid, you know, a chair or vice chair or treasurer. Most of those are completely non-paid positions, and
Largely
mostly
all volunteer.
All volunteer. And yet you see these people connive and backstab and do all sorts of crazy
Stab
shit.
their mother to keep their position.
It's House of Cards
And
for
I'm
a volunteer position.
Why are you doing this for a volunteer position? There's got to be some kickback or something going on because I don't know, man. Or you're just straight up is the perversion of God gave us dominion didn't give us dominion over man. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to have dominion over.
You know what it is? A lot of it is.
Influence?
Oh, I got a call, and I was also the district chair, so sometimes I'd get a call. Oh, hey, it's the person who's running for Congress. It's the county sheriff. The who's who. You're invited to these events, and you get in for free, and you get free drinks, and blah blah blah. And it's cool, but to some of these people, it's like it makes them feel like they're someone. Like they love this position of authority, and they want to keep that no matter what. And then if there's a rabble rouser who doesn't like the system as it is, they want to shut them out and they want them gone.
Yeah. And to that point, I've noticed that's what it seems like. A lot of people that are like either chairman or heavily involved, it's all about the show. Look, focus on me. They're not doing it for the right reasons then. It's like, why are you even here if you're not going to do it for the right reasons? Some of our precinct delegates, I've noticed, Rich too, and Jason, you probably noticed it too, but in Berrien County where we're at, I've noticed like the people that are involved now were maybe not involved before, but this is their way of being involved as a precinct delegate. Like they may not do the door to door. I like to go out and do door knocking and stuff like that in the community. I like to go to different events too, to just kind of hear what people are saying. But this is their way of actually participating without, not everybody's like us that can go out and talk to folks out on the street, but they're doing their part, and that's what they feel. So anytime I hear anybody say, they just show up to the convention, they just vote, and that's all they do, blah, blah, blah. They are actually informed. They come to our meetings, they listen to what we have to say. Right. That's why we've been able to have no problem recruiting people as precinct delegates, because they love what we're doing. They see it on our Facebook page. Yeah. You know, the informative stuff we're putting out there on our Facebook page.
And what Sean's reminding me of is in the last fall convention, we were up for re-election. So this is our second cycle. And, you know, there were probably 110, 120 delegates in the room that night. Okay. And we, as a leadership team, we decided to kind of give a cycle in review kind of presentation. Yeah. To tell them why we deserve to be reelected. And we had the candidates that we supported and helped get elected in that fall campaign come and tell the audience what we did as part of their successful campaign. Okay. Big picture, it keeps us accountable. Right. When we know we have to get elected, we as party leaders in Berrien County, we in the back of our head know even your fall convention, we're going to have to be held accountable for how we spent our time while we held the brand, while we were in charge of taking care of the brand for those 2 years.
And that dynamic of being held accountable is much more important when you look at it from the delegate perspective of these are delegates that are voting to keep you guys either in office or to move you along. Right. And the reality is they're the ones that are usually, if you're running for delegate, you have some aptitude of being informed and at least doing some, being educated. Yeah. And so that dynamic pushes even more versus a general election where you've got a bunch of people who just show up to vote, or they go to the local assisted living homes and help them vote, or the cemetery. That's all Democrat.
Or trap houses. Haven't you seen that lately in Detroit? The trap houses. Pastor Lorenzo Sewell's been exposing that deal called trap houses.
Wow.
Go to these drug houses where there's like 15 people registered to vote. You knock on the door, there's no one there, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, how about the 2,000 or what was it, 10,000 meals or 2,000 meals, whatever it was.
However many mules.
He did that. Stephen Crowder drove around a lot of places in Michigan and found, just driving up to the addresses that are on there, and it's an overpass,
I was just thinking, for the people maybe that aren't very familiar with how the delegate process and how the delegate system works, if you click on that delegate system, I put a little drawing together that we can walk people through.
The delegate system?
Yeah, just click on that tab right there.
Okay.
So if you look at this, what it's showing is that the Republican primary voters.
Want to zoom in on that?
I'm trying.
If you go to view,
there we go.
There we go.
So every, what are we in, even year? Yeah. Every even year August primary election, the Republican primary voters elect precinct delegates.
Right.
All right. And then those delegates end up electing all of the executive committees throughout the state. Now, sometimes there's a subset of delegates because some of those delegates go to a state convention to elect some of the state officers. But by and large, the delegates elect every one of those red boxes. And those are the executive organizations within the Republican Party. At the bottom, you've got the county committees, one per county. In the middle, you've got the district committees. There are 13 of those, one for each congressional district in Michigan. And then they also elect all the state officers, the state chair, co-chairs, vice chairs. And then from those populations, those three populations, the state committee over on the right-hand side is constituted each 2 years.
Okay.
And that's how it works.
And that all starts with delegates.
It all starts with delegates, but it actually all starts with the Republican primary voters. And so when we talk about, if you go to the next
slide.
one, it's called unintended there.
Yeah.
It's real simple. If we stop electing precinct delegates and start selecting them,
Yeah.
we've severed our connection to the Republican Party primary voter. And then we are adrift.
Yeah.
Because the chain of accountability is broken. And so what you really, why we're here tonight is because we have started to see some occurrences of this.
Yeah.
And we found ourselves in a position to be on state committee and being on policy committee.
Yeah.
And we got involved in trying to rectify the situation.
Now that ought to be repugnant to every Republican primary voter.
Right.
If there is one of these county committees, now by county committee, everybody here, maybe the folks listening, that's your county GOP, that's your county, I'm from Allegan County.
Allegan County GOP,
Yeah,
Livingston County
right,
GOP. Yeah.
Right. When you all hear that committee, that's the official, that's what's baked into, that's what's baked into the law. But this is so ridiculously
Yeah. So Jason's pointing
un-American.
right here.
Oh, okay.
He's not allowing me to.
All right.
I don't have the joystick to zoom in on you on the camera. I can do a couple things with this. But yeah, you're pointing at this dynamic right here
Yes.
of going through.
Yeah, that's
huge.
You've got Mr. Jefferson. I'll point back at the folks on our wall.
But wait, guys, this isn't really happening, is it? You guys are just making this up, right?
No, they're actively trying to do. And here's my thing, guys. We're on the 50th anniversary of the founding of the country, or at least the Declaration of Independence.
Think of that.
And most nations last on average about 200 years before they collapse into something. So I'm looking at this effort to reclaim this, and I'm wondering about the party in reference to Shane reading, George Washington's quote from his farewell address, and I'm looking at the state of our parties, and I'm looking at they got these. I see what they're trying to do. Chrysler's trying to be very patriotic with their commercials. Have you noticed that? And the Dodge trucks right now, they're all got the flags and the commercials and everything like that. And this newest one they have is they go, back in the founding of this country, we didn't like taxes, so we threw tea into the harbor. And then they cut back to the commercial and they go, so when you buy a new Dodge truck, you're going to get free sales, or we're paying your sales tax because we don't like the tax either. And I'm like, wow. That's where we're at. Okay. Because the reality is, if our founding fathers were here today and looked at the amount of taxes and hidden fees and hidden regulations that are in it, they would have long ago completely rebelled as the Constitution.
Over 100 years ago,
they would have been like, yeah, no. I often, every time I pull out a $20 bill, I look at Jackson and I just go, wow,
we failed you,
dude. Because he fought against the bank charter,
right?
And they throw his face on the 20 just to mess with us. It's like exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder about these things of, as you guys are going in, do you think about that dynamic of weighing it out? Checking within yourself, asking the Lord, going, all right, is this worth the fight? And you guys are making good ground, and I'm seeing that. Yeah. Or at a certain point, it's like when I'm looking at that teeter-totter of when you fight hard to salvage it and when you kind of go, all right, maybe we just let this thing implode. I'm just wondering about that because, dude, we're looking at their tyranny in so many areas. We've got our government telling the local people, no, you can't say anything about solar panels. You can't say anything about data centers. You can't do it. We're going to take that. Oh, we're going to put in some red flag laws. We're going to do all this other stuff. And you guys are I think we're all delegates here. So, we're on the ground level going, all right, how do we salvage this thing? And how much longer does it last before we go, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because there's talks about that the Democrats may go away and it may become this left-wing faction of the Republicans and a new that it'll split, and there's all these dynamics. And I'm looking at this party dynamic, and you guys are on the ground fighting for this party infrastructure that's fighting against you. And I know that's taxing. I know that weighs on your heart, and you got to assess within your soul going, man, am I fighting an uphill battle and where am I at? And I just want to hear your take on that. I'm giving you kind of the best and worst case scenarios to go,
Right.
at what point do you go,
So
let the wolves have it and eat,
I'll
well?
tell you the point.
Yeah.
The point's when the boss says, or when the coach says you get off the field.
Okay. So that's
Sean and I
your
are, Sean, the good Lord hasn't said quit yet. Now,
That's what I wanna hear.
either the voters can
Yep.
throw me out or the Lord can say, Jason.
It's time to
Now,
move
my
on.
wife and I have talked about this. My wife and I have been delegates, and Jolene looked this up.
Yeah.
20 years. Wow. We picked this little rug up in the Tea Party
Awesome.
world,
Yeah.
20
Yes.
years
Oh, yeah.
ago. And
He's got me beat, yeah.
We honestly had no freaking idea what we were doing. I started reading this wacko from Texas named Ron Paul,
Oh, yeah.
based upon some
Hell
Austrian
yeah.
economic stuff and blah blah blah, and then similarly a gal said, "Hey, come on over, be a delegate," and it was literally a 10-year education.
Yeah.
Because we trusted people, but to get back to that,
Yeah.
until Sean's got a business, I've got a business, and
Right.
and Rich is retired, God bless him. Because this guy's put in more hours than anybody. I
Well, he's
if you-
retired.
Rich is a hard worker.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I keep notes on just how much time I've got to know where I place my time.
Yeah.
It's been a business cost to do this.
100%.
There's
Mhm.
opportunity cost lost.
Yeah.
But and I mean, this was either you were lucky or the Lord inspired you to do it. This is George Washington's advice. The lifestyle that he longed to enjoy at Mount Vernon was impossible without the protection of a stable, benevolent government.
Right.
I'm a dumb little electrician whose education is high school with some trade school.
Okay.
And we're running 14 people in 2 different states last year installing equipment in America's manufacturing powerhouse.
Yeah.
This is a country where people can do that.
Yes.
I've talked to everybody needs to find somebody from a previously communistic country. I know 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We have a regular on the show. His
And-
name is George. Came from,
Albania.
Albania.
I know one from Czechoslovakia. I know another one from Transylvania, actually. I'm just getting to know the Transylvanian. But the Czech, when we went through the 2020 election, he was coming apart because this gentleman had defected. He was an Olympic runner. And
Okay.
he had defected, I forget the year, but I've honestly, when you've seen somebody just, you just wonder, why is he flipping out? This guy lived that.
Yes. And they're watching it encroach
Yes.
back.
This guy used to go to the store and hope for one tube of toothpaste. And then you come over here and there's 40
Yes.
and your brain
Right.
melts
Well, Bernie
Mhm.
says that's, why you got to have,
with his mittens.
you know,
Sure.
And
hey, listen,
But
why
I'm
you got to
going.
have,
New
I'm
York's
gonna.
going back to
bread,
that.
bread lines
I'm
are good.
I'm
At
gonna
least you
be.
got
I'm
bread.
gonna be in Hungary soon to do election observation.
You shouldn't be hungry at all. I saw
And
you eat.
yep, and they lived under 50 years of communism.
see, they get it.
50 years of communism, and now they might go back to it in the next election. So it's a
used to know
continuous struggle to fight that off.
I got to meet a Romanian and worked with a Romanian that was in the square when Ceausescu, shot his people.
Mhm.
Right. And it's amazing too. We're old enough here at the table that they just retired Sergei Fedorov's number at the Red Wings did there at
Okay.
Red Wings.
Little Caesars Arena. They just retired his number, right? Brought him back, and everybody welcomed him with open arms because they were kind of pissed when he left and got traded. But the dynamic of, I lived through that era of the Russian 5 coming over here and the things they had
Oh,
to
that's
do
where
to
you're going with
defect
hockey. Okay.
and to leave that system. And you meet those same people that we're talking about, and they go, what in the world is going on? Because I escaped this thing. I know I sit here with George, and George tears up, and he'll just put his head down and not want to show it on camera. He just kind of puts his head down and he's tearing up because he's thinking about what he lived under communism. He said if somebody in your family did something, the whole family's dead. They're dead, the whole family. And we don't have a concept of that here, but he said the same encroachments that happened in those countries to take them down the road to communism are in place completely here in this country.
The bottom basement idea of all men are created equal.
Yeah.
and endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights.
I love that. He said it the
Alienable,
correct way.
nice.
Oh, you know
Unalienable.
that?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
that's
I
his
hammer that.
bugaboo.
I
Yeah.
hammer that.
Okay, and for folks that have never heard that,
Yeah.
that is a right of which a lien, which is a
Correct.
financial state. You know this.
Oh, I
gotta
hammer
go-
that.
I've heard him say it's like 20 times.
Well, I had to go buy a Webster's dictionary from the 18 whatever, and it's clear as daylight. And you got it,
I've
the big green one.
I've got a big green one over there.
Ah, brother.
Oh yeah.
Words matter.
Yeah.
So unalienable.
100%.
Now these folks from Romania, from Czech, from all men aren't created equal over there. And now
Correct.
your thing moved. If we've got
You
a
want me to
thing
pull it
now,
up?
well, what Rich was working on, that shorts out
Yeah. I can pull it back up real quick.
a basic fundamental. There you go. It's the red line.
Yeah, that red line.
Who got stepped on? Did the the delegates, yes, got affected. Who got stepped on here?
The primary voters.
The primary voters.
100%. It short circuits, as an electrician,
This
it short circuits that and creates a feedback loop. And,
like creates a lot of heat.
But to
Heat's
you,
bad.
my uncle always told me, he's like, you're working on AC, put one hand in your pocket. Then
Yeah.
you can use your screwdriver with the other one.
So-
Because
Put the other hand in your buddy's ear. Yeah, that's always fun.
don't create
What?
the,
Go ahead.
the
go
loop.
ahead.
but to
No.
your question, Jeremy, I will readily admit it gets exhausting. You know, we're 5 years in now. Okay,
Yeah.
if you count the COVID time, and it puts a strain. It puts a strain on your family life, you know, and a lot of times your family doesn't understand why you're doing what you're doing. But what's encouraging is the growth in the people around us. You know,
Yeah.
if we look back to where we started, we knew nothing. You know, totally green.
Yeah.
Had no idea anything that was going on, and there were a number of other people in that group with us. And now, after 5 years, we have a certain established position now in county leadership.
Yeah.
And we have a voice, and we're giving a voice to the people, and we're having some success. Our page, you know, just specifically, our page is growing. People, we can see the engagement in at our county level of people appreciating the fact that we're standing up and speaking out. And, you know, a lot of times we're peeling, you know, it's a process of like peeling the onion at the local level. And we keep discovering just how kind of corrupt the local governments are. You know, we're peeling the onion at the state level.
There's a swamp in your community. There's a swamp in your county. There's a swamp,
It's
obviously, in Lansing.
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
There's
And
an
everywhere.
established system
Yeah.
that it gets really upset when you screw around with it.
Mhm.
When-
Exactly.
when you
And there's
start- when
so
you
many
start picking up
people-
and looking under the rocks,
Mhm.
you know.
Almost everybody is in it for some selfish. I don't mean selfish in a necessarily derogatory mean. If you work, if you're an elected official and your paycheck you know, that's you are self motivated. You're getting your paycheck,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
And all along the line, you got people all along the political spectrum, and they're all kind of getting something back from it. And there are only a few people that are just in it for the more of the unselfish, patriotic, philosophical reasons.
It's very
you
hard
know?
to stay in that pure heart position a lot of times, because you get that little bit of what's the drug in your
Dopamine.
dopamine. You get that dopamine hit when somebody, oh, you're doing such a good job. We appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here. We're so glad you came. Here's some free drinks. Here's some stuff. Now,
Yep.
I will fully confess, I do get free drinks at some of
Well,
that.
I mean,
I'll take them, but don't expect me to do nothing
no.
to keep getting them.
I'm saying that in reference to Shane, because I play music for the
Grand New Party,
Grand New
yes.
Party.
Yeah, there you
but
go.
that's but that's actually sort of the reward of it, is when the people that you don't know come up to you and say, "We appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
We see what you're
Right,
doing, and
right.
we appreciate it." You
Yeah,
know?
but then it's maintaining it's very susceptible to that elevation to put people
yeah.
on a pedestal, and then next thing you know, you're puffed up. It's like, don't get, what's the phrase they say? Don't get high on your own the smell. of
Don't
your
get
own
high
shit.
on your own supply.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
And-
dude, don't get so full of
Right.
yourself to realize that you're
Right.
a representative.
And here's
That you're
Well,
Go
here's
ahead.
the reason why they're so scared of populist movements. So you get, the Ron Paul Tea Party movement that me and Jason came in to the Republican Party on. You get people who are motivated by their ideology. They're motivated by their principles. They're motivated by being disgusted by big government and the
Yeah.
corruption in society.
Yeah.
Then that kind of wanes, and then you get MAGA. You get people who are angry at the establishment. Then you get, kind of on the heels of that, you get COVID and anti-COVID resistance and Stand Up Michigan and all that stuff that came out of there. So you get all these people who show up for the purposes of, I'm going to, I want to upend the establishment. I want to stop, big government, and I want to defend my liberty. I'm not here to be on the take, or because I want to be a politician, or because I want the pat on the head or the plaudits from corrupt politicians. No, you're here because you care about your community, your family, your faith, et cetera, et cetera. And that is the thing that scares the establishment, that scares the system the most, because one person, like Ron Paul, like Trump, whoever, one person standing up can cause a whole lot of difference.
It's one little stone in a ripple of the pond that can.
And if you can't be bought,
that's huge.
Mhm.
if you can't be bought,
That's huge. And that's the dynamic that I'm looking at. It's either ego and that dopamine hit, or it's being bought one way or another. I mean, a lot of these politicians, they're completely on the take. They're worth millions of dollars after a year or two in office. And you're like, what is going on here? Or you get this, well, we're going to take you on a trip. We've got a meeting down there I want you to be at. And you get down there and your whole hotel's paid for, and there's a tab for you for that at the hotel, and you get to eat for free and all this. That's just the same as throwing money.
A legislative junket in Hawaii. Come on and hear from the lobbyists.
Exactly.
Governors that hop on jets.
Yeah.
I think what's cool in Berrien County and D4, I mean, what a lot of the folks in D4 I've come across is a lot of the precinct delegates, like I said, they're just common sense people. If it doesn't, like you said, if it doesn't smell right, it's not right, or whatever,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's just, and I feel like Rich is like over the top smart. And I always say, I'm just an old trucker, that's all I am. But to me, this guy does the research, and then he'll explain something to me as far as breaking it down. And then I'm able to go out and explain it to folks that don't understand it. And like I did, but now I get it, and
that's how I know that I actually know something, is if once he can understand it, then I'm like, all right, I must have got
bad.
this right.
I just, my mind's always just kind of going, but it just takes me a minute, like to compare it to certain things, because he's over the top smart. I'm kind of common sense. Like my dad always said, your brother's got book smart, you're street smart. That's what I am, and that's what made us.
I think the best combinations are the ones that book and street.
Yeah, that's what made us. My brother and I are in business together, and that's what makes us successful.
Well, and going back to that, I want to touch on that too, but and remind me of this in a second. I'll write a note here. But the reason I bring that up to you guys is because there's a lot of other people that have been so disenfranchised that they've checked out, that they're just waiting for it to implode. I remember
I got numbers on that.
Yeah. Well, Shane, we had a show last month where we talked about it's 40% are declared independent voters. So when I've got
45% and over 55% in millennial and Gen Z are independents.
So I've got my co-hosts,
don't want anything to do with either party.
I got my co-hosts sometimes on the regular Tuesday show, and they're going, we got to vote for him. I know Rogers is not a great candidate, but at least we still got to vote because, he's better than Slotkin. And I go, dude, you've got 40 to 45% of people that are checked out of the party system completely.
You mentioned Chris and Megan Kelly brings that up all the time.
Yeah.
You have to have her people behind you to win.
100%. So I'm looking at these dynamics and I'm going, God, there's a lot of people that have already checked out or withdrawn from the parties, and you guys are battling. You're on the ground trying to sell. It's an uphill battle. And you had the best answer for me is the Lord's telling you to stay in the fight, then you stay in the fight. I mean, because that's whether you turn to the left or the right, you hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way to walk in it. I mean, that's a dynamic, as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they're the sons of God. So we got to walk in that dynamic until he tells us otherwise. I get that 100%. But for the audience out there that have some of them checked out of that whole system, I want them to hear what you guys are, not just the positives of, hey, we're doing this and we got a lot of, yeah, it's a struggle sometimes. Yeah, I sit with my wife and
very
we
much
go,
a
dude,
struggle.
what, you know, so they want to hear that reality to realize you're not doing this because it's easy. You're doing it because it's hard, but it does have an attainable benefit for our nation, for our state, for our people to understand that something fighting for it.
And when you're the Republican person, the Berrien County person, 4th District person, and you can put out a message out there that you are exposing corruption, you're not going with the flow. You are someone who embodies the values that, you know, a conservative person who's independent, but would be a Republican if the Republican Party didn't suck. They see that good leadership out there, and that might inspire them to come back in.
And some have in Berrien County, and I don't know about, you know, Allegan County or D4. I mean, but I've seen that. Like people are encouraged by what we do. I can think of one of our guys, Bill Stanzik, man. He left. He was totally disgusted with Berrien County GOP. Yeah. Because I don't know. I'm not afraid to admit it. Fred Upton voted to impeach Donald Trump. And he was our congressman back in our district. Wow. And he was disenfranchised by our folks that wouldn't actually go after him on it, you know. Okay. And he left the party in disgust. Yeah. But then when he saw us come in and do the things we were doing and making a difference, he's like, I'm back in the game. And he's at every meeting. Yeah. He sits right up front. He's an old veteran. Served our country, and he sits up front, leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance probably one of your staunchest supporters. And that's what I want to hear from you guys. That's what I want to hear.
I mean, just to put a fine point on it, what did we really just do when we came into the party? Yeah, is we just started speaking up for the people. Yes, and speaking up out against 100%. Government corruption. Yes. 100%. And that, I mean, it's nothing like we're not these great operators. We're just unafraid to say what we see. Yeah, and we keep looking.
That was the appeal of Ron Paul. That's the appeal of Donald Trump, is when they were on the scene. Ron Paul does this podcast now, but Donald Trump, when he walked down the escalator, he was speaking for the American. He's the type of guy, and I don't like some of the directions he's going right now, but he was the guy that walked down the escalator, and if you had any history of him, you knew he was the guy that could walk onto a job site, put a hard helmet on, and he's slipping hundreds into the hands of his supervisors and stuff like that. He's shaking hands. He's walking through the office, and story after story after story of where he goes, you know what? Give them an extra on their Christmas bonus this year. Right. Doing all this stuff. They couldn't find a single disgruntled employee from a multi-billionaire in real estate that would come out and say anything negative against him. They had to find some Stormy Daniels bullshit where she had to pay him. And it's like, dude, that's a person that even though he's a billionaire, people related to that because he was speaking, and he said it. He said, I'm going to return this back to the people. But he's in the highest office, and you guys, we have to do the ground game because all politics is local. And if we don't figure this out, I know why he gets the shitty recommendations, because he's relying on people that he thinks know the process and have vetted them, and they haven't. They're just putting up another establishment. So then he endorses a Mike Rogers last cycle, you know, and we go, what the hell? So you guys are doing the work to change it, in your counties and doing that. That's
one by one,
and drawing back some of the independents in your area. And that's huge. Or not even the independents, but the people that felt they were disenfranchised. When I told you guys I ran for delegate, it was 11 for 7 spots. Okay. That was 2022. 2024, there were 4 of us for 7 spots. That's how much our county party pissed off the grassroots people, even marginalizing, saying, "No, we're not." You know.
So you're saying Megan Reckling wasn't happy about what happened?
That was after her.
Oh,
and it was after that. Yeah, okay. I don't understand. So it's amazing. I want to ask this, or I want to point this out real quick and have you guys respond to this, because you've already indicated, both of you, that you work for it. Lincoln talked about it, that the country will never be taken over from outside forces, because it'll only implode from within, because he said, he made the statement, 75% of the country owns their own business, and the other 25% are working for them, trying to save enough money to start their own. Right. And he understood that dynamic of entrepreneurialism is the heartbeat of the liberty that our founding fathers saw. They came over here, and the problem that they had with the crown back then, even when they extended olive branches, even when they did a whole bunch of resolutions to try and maintain connection with the crown back before the Declaration of Independence, was that they came here and they worked their ass off. They cut the trees down, used the trees to build the house, built the land up, cleared the land, did all the things to do it, and established it was the hardcore heart of the entrepreneurial spirit. And I see that's another huge area of attack in this country, is always trying to go after the little companies. We saw it during the lockdowns where they just went at, Walmart could stay open, Home Depot could stay open,
They're
the
essential.
strip club could stay open,
Casinos.
the casinos, the
Essential businesses.
Essential.
but the churches and the little mom and pops, they had to shut down. And they were trying to destroy a lot of businesses. I mean, businesses fail no matter what, but a lot of those businesses went by the wayside. So I'm looking at you guys. How much more is that a motivation? Obviously, the voice of the Lord keeping you in the fight, but how much is that a motivation because you've worked it? I've been self-employed most of my career. I did like 3 years doing countertops for a couple. Then I've had a couple little jobs here and there, but most of the time I construction. I'm a licensed builder. I do my own stuff. So I get that dynamic of I'm against the regulations. I'm against all the bullshit. I'm against all. It's like I want to go out and earn my. I try to make just enough money to where I zero out and don't have to deal with the tax bullshit. Why do I have to even think about that?
Right.
They don't inject anything into my company. They don't add value in any way, shape, or form. And then when you see the bullshit that goes on both sides, Republican and Democrat, you go, dude, what am I out here working for? And then you get black markets created, you get all these other things. So I'm thinking about all these dynamics. You guys as business owners, how much more does that play into your fight to try to wrestle back the levers of power? Because you're like, dude, if you're not going to fight for me during a lockdown, what am I doing? You could come in and just sweep in and shut my whole company down because somebody didn't put a face diaper on. What the hell are we doing here? Talk about that.
Well, I mean, that was one of the big reasons why we were fighting for, because of the COVID, like we said previously. But my biggest thing is not only to keep our trucking going during COVID, we were very, I guess, I don't know if you could say fortunate or not, but we had some of our customers that were considered essential that were making some of the parts for the ventilators and all that other stuff. So I got
the letter. I had 2 houses that were open. They're like, oh, you're okay. You're essential. You can keep working on these houses.
So I remember going across 696. I was like the only truck semi on the road at that time. You could pretty much
go as fast as you want.
We just got just got past 696 and we were just past Pleasant Lake right there. Yeah. We were just past that. Yeah. And I'm like, there's nobody out here.
Yeah, there was nobody. But I guess my biggest reason is not only business wise, but for my kid.
So your posterity.
And so when they decided to put face masks on our kids, I actually,
those are fighting words.
Yeah, I mean they did. The school board decided to do a session of everybody get their complaints out of the way, and then they voted on it after the public. And there was over 100 people there talking like, "Don't do this to our kids" and everything like that.
Yeah.
And
they waited and didn't close the session and voted off.
Right. They voted it, and then boom, the meeting was done. And I couldn't just let it go. After they voted on it, before they hammered out, gavelled out, I called out one of the school board members because I played basketball with him 3 times a week.
Okay.
And I said, "You're nothing but a damn hypocrite." We played basketball 3 times. I yelled it across the auditorium, and of course the police came and
escorted you out.
Yep.
Oh, you rebel.
And the officer looked at me and he said, "Sean, hey man,
I agree with you.
I got kids in the system. I'm just doing my job." And I said, "Well, then you shouldn't be escorting me out then, if you're doing your job."
Isn't that the dynamic?
Yeah, just following orders.
The love of money is the root of all evil.
Yep.
That's what that verse is talking about. The guy who goes, "I'm just doing my job." Why are you doing your job?
Right.
Because I get a paycheck. Oh, that's you being a friend of the guys who have the silver that they put in your pocket. That's the love of money.
This is the beginning of the story of where I felt like this is where I'm in it for my kid, because the masks went on. And my daughter, even to the point of, she come home and she looked at me and she said, "Dad, it's just a mask, no big deal."
Oh,
And I says, "But they're
no.
taking your rights away from you,
100%.
and everything like that. They're shutting you up, so you can't." And I explained to my daughter, I said, that one kid who you may walk past in the hallway and they can't see you smile at them,
Yeah.
that might be their last hope of grasping for
100%.
life. You know, like
100%.
making a bad decision in life.
Yes.
I said that's another reason why, because my daughter's outgoing and she'll say hi to the. But anyhow, after a month went through, she got that rosaria or whatever.
The
And
rash.
I remember her coming home after school and throwing that mask on the counter and saying, "Dad, I'm done with this." And I said, "That's why I fight."
That's why.
And to me, it just kind of parlayed into the political stuff. I mean, I started showing her like my paycheck. I showed her my paycheck. Look at all the taxes taken out.
Yep.
And I said, it's given to people who, some people, we need to help out in life. I get that. But there's a lot of
If you
people
had to file the same
who
amount
have
of money
Most of it is
quarterly,
waste.
Yes, most of it is waste.
if
And
you
know
got
what?
if you got all your money and then had to file it
Yes.
quarterly, everybody would rebel against
Right.
the tax system.
And she looked at me and she looked at my check. She said, "Dad, that's a lot of money." And I said, "Exactly."
Mhm.
But I said, "You see how hard I work for it, So I mean, that kind of went into the political side of it, and then
So that's the third dynamic. That's
Yes,
the third,
and-
because you guys are, again, a lot of people have withdrawn and checked out. And so that's the dynamic that I'm looking for. It's not just preserving the party. It's
Right.
not just
Right.
some altruistic dynamic that you want to dive into. No, you've got a vested interest in your community, in your business, in your family.
Yes.
That's the motivating factor.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's something that appeals to a lot more
Well,
people when you don't just go, "We got to save the Republican
It's
Party."
right.
No,
It's not
This
that
is
at
your
all.
kids, this is your
Actually,
business.
it's the fact that once we started peeling the onion, like
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
the more you peel, the more corrupt it gets, and you're like,
what the
my
hell?
goodness,
Yeah.
we have to fix this because this is the rails that our freedom and our liberty is riding on.
Yes.
And if these rails are rusted and corroded,
Yeah.
we have to do something.
If not us, then who else?
right.
And the most disconnect or the most disengaged group out there, I heard this statistic just the other day, is the farmers or the hunters, the hunting
Yes.
and farming community.
Yes.
They're the most disengaged. And I'm like, you guys have
What do you
the
mean?
great that don't vote.
That don't
Oh,
vote.
They
Yeah.
don't show
yeah,
up. They
Gun
don't
rights.
vote.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, you're the number one guys.
They're coming after.
I was involved for a little while with Ducks Unlimited, going to a bunch of events
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I found out how much those guys work at conservation. And I play hockey with a whole bunch of guys that hunt and fish.
Yeah.
We just did a wild game event here a couple weeks ago. And those guys that hunt and fish and are outdoorsmen, they're the most hardcore about conservation because
Yeah.
they want to come back to that fishing grounds the next year and know that there's fish there. They want to go back to that where those ducks are the next year. They want to go back. They're like, we're going to let that doe go or that buck go because he's got a couple more years in him and he's going to make sure the population's going and we're going to make sure we harvest a couple more of the does because it's getting a little, they're wise to this, and they're the ones that don't want to vote because they're like, F the system, and they want to walk. And I go, these are the guys that we need engaged.
Yeah.
So I got to find the avenues when I'm sitting there in the locker room that will appeal to them,
Yep.
because a lot of them, they're working for, I got buddies that work for GM. I got buddies that work for
Right.
other big corporations, the vast majority of them. Okay. And I look at these guys and they go, they don't have their own little business, because if they had their own little business, the wheels would start turning a little bit more and they would get engaged, or families. There's a lot of young guys.
But
that
you know
don't
what
have
wouldn't?
kids.
You know what wouldn't appeal to them?
You
Hey,
got to save the Republican Party.
you got to
And they go,
save the Republican Party
they go,
by
"Dude."
supporting this terrible candidate anointed by the big money, and because he's 5% better than the Democrat. That's not going to motivate people like that to ever get involved.
I got Larry too. Larry said it on Tuesday. He goes, "Yeah, I'd vote for a dead cat before I vote if it was a Republican instead of Slotkin." I'm like, yes, you have a problem with Alyssa Slotkin. Okay. She's a piece of shit. CIA. We know that. Mike Rogers was FBI and just as much of a piece of shit. And he doesn't agree with me, but I go, dude, either way, it was an establishment candidate that they hoisted upon us. And you're yelling at the very people that we need to get in to these positions, delegate positions, and support better candidates. Let's get this primary going.
doubling down on the same failed strategy from the last cycle.
Don't we call that insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
To dovetail, a lot of people pushing that same failed strategy right now are on the Michigan Republican Party State Committee. So you come in with this delegate bill of rights.
Say your last sentence again.
A lot of the people who have been pushing this same failed strategy of let's support the rhinos and let's support the bad Republicans.
Just because they got an R next to the name and you're part of the cult.
There's an R next to their name and they're 5% better than the Democrats. So we must support them. Those are the sort of people that are on the Michigan Republican Party State Committee. And so coming into contact with these people, pushing the delegate bill of rights, what kind of, without naming any specific names, Chris Long, without naming any names other than Chris Long, what sort of interactions have you had with these people? And why has this not gone through? Why has this not been immediately, it should be 100% support. What kind of fights have you had to deal with when trying to get these common sense reforms pushed through?
Well, we see, and Rich, and Sean, if I talk out of turn, just say so. We beat on each other all the time. So we do see what we're doing as commonsensical. I mean, Rich even went so far as in our first draft of the Delegate Bill of Rights, we flow charted it. You had one up on your board here. I mean, here's the process.
Yeah.
We were so as transparent as possible to the point of
probably to a fault,
because there's the wordy legalistic bologna sandwich, right? I mean, here's your bologna sandwich, and you're reading through all that crap, and you got to feed it into your AI or whatever to figure out what it means. But we took what we had baked, what we had worked on for how many months? 5,
6,
and here's the word salad.
Yeah.
Here's the word salad, and it was long. Well, we'll admit it was long. It was too long. And then we had another page. Here's segment by segment. Here's section this was our intent.
Yeah.
And then we went, and here's how this is actually going to practically work out. Square A, you are here. Yes, no, go this way.
You're pulling a Jefferson, Madison, Mason,
and people blew up.
Confab.
And we were like, we actually heard. Who would ever put this into a flow chart? We're like, people who want you to understand what we're trying to do. And they didn't read it, and it turned into this emotional. It went. Here's 3 individuals that are largely fact driven. We're passionate too, but
who funded this flow chart?
Yeah.
Why is it blue? It should have been, and we're just like, guys, just read. Ask what intent is. Look, and so we ran into this over and over. Where's we have looked at each other and shook our heads how many times and gone, what don't y'all get?
Well, there's the dynamic, right, of that when a new idea is presented, people are immediately how's the flow chart go? It's like they discount it, then they fight against it,
yes,
and then they accept it as if it's always been there. There's one more dynamic in there, but it's that thing. It's like no matter what, it's cognitive dissonance because and I find this interesting because
that's a musical term.
Cognitive dissonance.
Well, dissonance. That's when you got
but cognitive dissonance when you've got the mental where you can't
when you've got opposite thoughts in your head.
Just remember
that you
both
believe in
syllables to a trucker and electrician.
Okay.
It might work for the patent
All right,
guy,
so
okay?
listen, man. All right, so listen.
We're fixing to get this.
Aristotle said that it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain an idea without embracing it. You can entertain it like it came over for dinner, but you ain't sleeping with it, right? You know what I'm saying? You're entertaining it, but you're not sleeping with it.
Thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Right?
So you guys don't even, but that's the dynamic is you got this cognitive dissonance to where there's two notes that aren't congruent together, they're not flowing together, and they just boot it out.
In a state committee meeting, the two sides of the room, I'm a first timer at state committee, and the split in that room is stark.
But it's ultimately when it came down to the vote on the precinct delegate bill of rights, it was 50-50.
For all intents and purposes, I think we were
and you need a super majority, right? Of what is it, 60?
2/3?
Yeah, we had
to make it a bylaw. You had to have,
and isn't this an amazing thing? Isn't it an amazing thing? You guys are fighting within the party so that you have some hope of regaining a foothold in the state and in the country.
Well,
That's
we
the
want
dynamic.
what, I mean, I want what Washington wanted.
And it's to reach those 50%
Yeah.
of disaffected voters.
Right.
Because why did they turn away? Because they're tired of these power hungry people who
Yeah.
love to hear themselves speak, instead of speaking up for them.
Right. But
And-
I'm sure you guys have thought about it. You're like, oh my God, look at how hard this is just to fight within my party before I even get something to the floor
Yeah.
of Congress.
But I mean-
when's the last time they've repealed anything in this, a bill? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They just sit there and write more
But we got
bills
the
and write
deal
more
in the Senate.
regulations.
We got the deal in the Senate right now for voter ID, right?
They can't in the SAFE Act. They can't even sign. It's like, oh, I pulled up the list on I think it was this past Tuesday. I pulled up the list of the amount of Republicans. And I looked right over at Larry. I go, Larry, these are the same rhinos that you want to, just because there's R next to their name. They're no different on that vote. They're no different than Democrats.
No.
We got to change the party at the ground level, or it's done.
Yeah.
Or it's done.
But you ask what kind of arguments we run into.
Yes.
And I want to address that
Give it
because
to me.
they're pretty interesting. But I want to start out by saying I think there's something else under the hood that we still don't understand.
Okay.
We maybe have some speculation, but the level and the ferocity of the opposition
Mhm.
has really been surprising to me. I think
Mhm.
It's
Jason,
bizarre.
Yeah.
it's bizarre, right?
It is.
It's
Mhm.
like, what is causing this? It's like tissue rejection. Like, well, I don't understand this.
It's not even logical.
It's
It's not even
Yeah,
logical to a thinking person.
yeah. And when we put this up on the screen,
Yeah.
it's really going to be like, what? How's this possible?
Yeah.
But here are the main arguments that have been used, in our committee meetings. The first one was it's illegal.
Mhm.
All right. Oh, that's interesting.
It's illegal.
It's illegal what we're trying to do. It's
Okay.
illegal.
Well,
And the
just-
second one is it's going to create FEC complications, which will result in us losing elections because we will get ourselves into unintended campaign contribution limits that we otherwise wouldn't get ourselves into. The third one is you're taking away local control from the county parties. And the fourth one is
Wait, by having
Support-
delegates Bill of Rights,
Support
Take away local?
our local tyrannies.
Don't. We can. I know. Just give him a minute.
exactly.
You got
And
one
then the
more.
fourth
that?
one,
Where's
the
that
fourth
button?
one is it's
Boom
too
shakalaka.
it's too complicated and too long. Okay, so those are the four. Now,
okay.
just to make a long story short, if you could please pull up, if you click on the illegal tab, all right,
Are we talking about illegals? Where's my trackball?
it's that document again.
I know we got a trucker here.
See
so
that illegal button?
illegal.
Click on that, and now scroll down.
All right.
All right. So instead of going
did?
through all the details of what the argument was, I want to read a letter from our chair of the Michigan Republican
I love
Party,
Jim. He's been on the podcast
Senator
before.
Jim Runstead. It says, while no proposal satisfies every concern, I believe these provisions represent thoughtful, practical reforms consistent with the commitments I made. This version has been reviewed by General Counsel, who identified no legal or FEC concerns. So, I'd like to, for all of our audience tonight, I really want them to know that this
is not illegal.
line right here knocks out two of the four big concerns out there.
So there's
Illegal and FEC.
yeah. So we knocked those two out. So there's only two left.
All right, so now
No,
let's
let him finish.
let's
Local.
go to the easy one. Let's go to it's too long. So jump down to the one pager, because it did used to be, it was long. We had 5 pages, we had 7 pages. Well, now we have a one pager.
For those in Ann Arbor, that's uno
We
pagero.
have a one
That was Rio
pager.
Linda,
Uno.
right?
No, we changed it on my show.
Oh, it's Ann Arbor.
because Rio Linda's too far away from us, so we
All
changed
right,
it. We're like, all right,
Ann
for
Arbor.
those in Ann
at,
Arbor,
at the college.
it's,
So without going in-
uno pagero.
So without going into detail, we have one page. So hopefully it's
This
not
is it.
too it's not too long anymore. Okay,
One page.
it's one.
The estimated
it's-
reading time.
5 minutes.
Well, it
if that.
depends, I suppose. but I would say it should take you
Should take
maybe a minute to 2 minutes. to
Throw
read.
it in one of the websites, and it'll tell you. Like when I pull up an article on
Uh-huh.
Oh, we've been there.
when I pull up a news article, it'll tell me right at the top how long it'll take me to read that. Now,
Right.
I have horrible reading comprehension, so that takes me longer. But
All right. So now let's look
I gotta
at
read it a couple times.
let's look at
if I read it out loud to myself, I
get it.
Got
get it.
Yeah.
But if I read it internally,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's lost on me.
So before we go to local control, all right, because that's really one of their the
we're
argument
looking at
that really gets people going. That
We're not going to
ta-
read the one pager.
not
No.
yet. No,
Okay,
let's
that's fine.
let's
get the
I-
highlights. All right, local
let's
control.
go to what is PDBOR. See that one?
All
Because
right.
this will make it easy to get across here.
All
All right.
right.
We're just going to go through this one bullet at a time.
Okay.
All delegates receive a timely call to convention.
You mean
Simple.
not 2 weeks?
2 weeks, a month, probably a month, I
It's
think
supposed
is,
to be a month. I
is
think.
usually
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah,
Should
it
be
felt
a
like
month.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Really?
I have my stuff
Well,
hanging
and
somewhere.
and sometimes they forget to send them out to everybody.
If I got elected and then the letter's sent out and it's a month away from the election,
Yeah,
I may not get the letter until 2 weeks before
good point.
county convention.
Right. So it does say all, not some.
All right.
So we upgraded it from some to all. All
okay.
right.
Yep.
Conventions held according to the call.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean? That means if you tell everybody where it's going to be and when,
Yeah.
you can't switch the location at the last minute.
Oh,
I heard that happens.
That's a bait and switch, man.
I heard
Yeah.
that happens. All right. Every delegate gets your.
Roar. We
Wait,
should have had that one.
by the way, we need to be reading. We need to be reading this in the context of the question, like, how is this taking over party control or county? How am I removing county control by giving delegates some basic rights to go to their convention?
Because they can't see you get elected in August, show up to a convention, and then told you have no actual authority until next year when it rolls around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what I was.
Yeah.
You can vote tonight, but you really don't. You can't go to state. You can't go this. You can't do that. You can't. I go.
Yeah, it's not.
So you want to burn me out by the time it rolls around next year,
Right.
and just have your same establishment people. Does
Yeah.
that sound about right?
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds
Yep.
about right. Okay.
So again, as we're looking at this, and there's 11 points to this thing. Every time we hit a point here, I want you to ask
Need a
yourself:
sound
is this removing county control? Is
Okay.
this removing local control? If anybody sees
Which sound effect did you
a
want?
bullet that we're losing county control, speak up. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So number
He
3.
said bullet point. That's what I got. My bad.
Number 3.
Number 3. All right.
Every delegate gets a credential.
I'm afraid to like highlight it, but I'm going to try it. Oh, it worked.
Look at that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That just
Oh,
means
I should pull it
they
up.
check you in and you get to go in and you're now a voting member. Full participation rights during the convention. That means you get to vote.
Wait, you guys didn't have that?
The county in question.
Okay. Okay.
They-
When I walked
Would you
in-
like to like to see that we're actually solving a problem here?
Maybe I guess living when we
You know what?
when I walked into mine.
I'm going to tell you why this has to be in here.
Okay.
Click on example. I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to.
Example. Oh,
Here it
we
comes.
Go to example.
Now you do the
Oh.
shotgun.
Now we should. Now we do it.
Okay.
This needs to be blown
All
apart.
Okay.
Here's the example.
4.2.
All
The
right.
KGOP has the right to deny the membership application of any individual for any reason. All right. 4.3, any member can be removed from KGOP for any reason. Now we scroll
This
down.
is Kalamazoo.
Oh, we're not naming
bylaws.
names. We're not
It's
naming
K-
names. It's
well,
an
I want-
acronym. We don't know who it is.
No. If this is public record,
This
It is.
we're gonna put
Yeah,
people
it
on
is.
blast.
Yeah.
The only time I don't like talking about names is when it was a private
All right.
conversation.
Right. Yeah.
If it's a public conversation,
All right.
This is their bylaw.
All right. Now look at 4.4.
And it creeps me the fuck
oh,
out.
sorry, that was my mom. I pushed
Oh
the
my
wrong button.
goodness.
So if it's public, and it's been out there, and you know it's out there,
This is on their
then
website.
this is what I have to say about that.
And fuck you if you don't like it.
Okay, so there you
All
go.
right. How about this, Shane? Why don't you read
man.
4.4, the pink Highlighted in pink, 4.4.
Precinct delegates, Republican elected officials, and Republican nominees to partisan offices must be a member of the KGOP
Uh-oh.
in order to vote at any
Uh-oh.
convention, caucus,
Uh-oh.
or meeting of the
Uh-oh.
KGOP.
Well, this sounds more like the KKK than the KGOP.
So you see what they did
You know
there?
what I didn't like?
So wait, so this means that in Oakland County GOP, you do have to pay dues for certain opportunities, not to participate, but if you're a member, does that just mean you have to pay a fee to be a member, or there's
you
some
mean so like
other ridiculous
Hold
hoops they
on,
put you
hold-
through?
Look at 4.4. In order to vote where?
Convention.
At any convention.
Yes.
This is the bright red line. This is the select.
Yeah.
Because guess who gets elected at conventions? The executive committee.
I was nominated twice to the executive committee, but I wasn't a paid dues member. And every time that I was
Freaking matter.
I was asked to run for the executive, and they said, no, he isn't a paid dues member. I'm like, well, here's my credit card. What do I need to pay? Like, no, you have to be paid 30 days in advance. I was like, 30 days in advance. I just got elected 30 days ago, and nobody sent me a letter saying if I wanted to be elected to the executive committee, I need to be paid up front.
But why not?
So they
why
did
not
it on
just?
fucking
Yeah,
purpose.
but this makes no sense. Why not just? Oh, hey, yeah, you have to pay right now. It makes no sense,
Dude,
It's
they
been
did
bullshit.
it to me.
They've been doing this bullshit
They
since I
did it
got
s-
involved. It's
They did
every
it
county
straight up
does
to me
this
because
stuff.
I was nominated twice by people that didn't know, and I'm like, here's my credit card. Here, I'll
This
pay the
is where-
dues.
So
This
are
is
you
what-
saying
shouldn't
it
even
wasn't
have to
about
do-
the money?
No,
It wasn't about the money.
it was about the influence that I had.
Mhm.
There,
It was
dude,
about creating the outcome they
I
wanted.
told you guys
Yep.
off air, I lost half my podcast when I walked out and resigned from the executive committee.
So
because
something that
I
you
had
built,
yeah.
something that you built on your time, on
Yes.
your dime,
100%.
somebody else grenaded.
Yes.
Now that's what
And
happens.
not only that,
That's
they
what
started their
happens.
own podcast an hour before.
I'm just saying, but
That's politics
All
for you.
Now let's go back to where we were on point number 4. All right.
Okay.
No, back to what's in the
Oh,
PD.
what's in the
Because we had to go look at the example.
All right. So we want to go back to
Right.
local.
No,
No, Shane's
Just
gotta
up,
keep
just scroll
reading.
up.
What
scroll
is
up.
Oh,
what
scroll.
is PD and BOR?
Oh, all the way back up top.
No.
Where am I at?
Right.
Down,
what
down,
is
right
it?
there. You go,
Click
there. you
there.
All right, back to
That's
number
why we had to do number 4.
four. All right.
You have to have full participation rights because otherwise you might have to be a member, and that breaks the flow of
I'm
accountability.
not going to share this because it's got names on
got
them,
names on it, yeah.
But list of delegates not credentialed at the August 15, 2024 convention at KZGOP.
And what would make you not
There are
credentialed?
There are 44 names here.
And what makes you not credentialed is
Whatever whatever. There's the
I
circular.
literally walked in and people wanted me on the executive committee day one of being a delegate. And I
44.
wasn't paid up, so I couldn't do
You're one. 44
I
in
know.
one county.
You're dangerous.
it.
Disenfranchised people, 44. You cannot participate
Yeah,
because
sorry,
you don't want you.
Here's your guest pass. Go sit up there.
So the point is, we're dealing with reality.
Mhm.
We're dealing with his list of 44. We're dealing with bylaws that are open to the public for anyone to read. And we're writing rules to address the things that need to be enacted in order to fix this, to remove the corruption or the temptation to be corrupted,
Yep.
and to make this ship fly right. That's it. There's nothing crazy here.
It's crazy if you're threatening the power structure as it is. To them, they're unelected, unpaid. Fuck. I'm like, I don't get you people, dude. Listen. I don't leave my house if I'm not getting paid a certain amount of money. Listen, I do
Well, if
construction,
you're not
man.
profitable, you
I'm
don't
like,
get off.
dude.
If you're not profitable, you
I'm
don't get
like,
off the couch, right?
You know, I can sit at
Why would
home.
you do it?
And bottom line is, you don't make me. I trust Jesus to take care of everything. So at the end of all this, no matter what the job is,
I would like for you to bring the bylaw thing back up and show how the executive committee is elected, and then to become a member, it's chosen by the executive committee.
I told you guys when I
You
got
had to fill out an application.
When I got elected to my executive committee, somebody put my name forward and I was paid because I learned my lesson. And I received, out of the 3 people, I received the highest vote count, right? And I think you could only vote for one. And the other person that was good, and then the other person that turned out to be not so good. But that's the thing. I was nominated twice before that, and because I wasn't paid, they wouldn't want me on there. And I'm like, I don't even know what the executive committee does it, but they're like,
No.
we know you're a thinking person. We know that you'll be involved and you'll look at the stuff and you'll look at paper. When it was coming up for party chair, I did 20 to 30 hours of different podcasts. I found them. I just looked up, and it's your number 6 on here. I did the Robert's Rules of Order. I just listened to multiple different podcasts of people teaching about Robert's Rules of Order.
Mhm.
And I went, okay. Because I watched my chairperson that I befriended, and she became part of our show for quite a while, struggle with Robert's Rules of Order. And thankfully we had Dan Wilhan step up a number of times for clarification and try to help her out.
Yep.
And I went and bought her a vodka and cranberry to calm her down. But
Loosen her mind.
Dude, she was under so much stress because nobody was helping her. And they're going, point of order, point of order, point of order. And I'm like, dude, shut the hell up.
They got a whole system
I'm like-
designed to, like, they leave you out hanging out to dry, and then
Yeah.
they have all their people waiting to sabotage you when you show up.
100%. And I had a steak at home waiting to be cooked. And I'm sitting there until like 11:30 at this.
I'm going to make
convention going,
Jerry, I'm
"What?"
going to make a polite point. You're pissed, right?
It's mad as hell.
And I'm not going to take it anymore.
But who got screwed in the deal?
Me.
No.
Oh, the people.
Who elected you?
100%.
How many voters in your precinct are there? Just bleh. Like there's about 2,000.
About 2,000.
Okay.
Okay. You're one. So 2,000 people got screwed. You didn't get your steak. Sorry.
I
Okay.
ate it the next day, but yes,
I-
I was
you-
delayed.
you-
It was delayed gratification.
Okay.
It was ridiculous.
So if you went 2,000 people, let's do a little gentlemanly math here. What's 2,000 people times 44?
Oh,
88,000 Republicans.
Yeah.
Who do you think they trust the system? Knowing the person that they elected wasn't allowed to go to
And
convention. and
That's
vote on
why
their
we
behalf?
have low voter turnout
You
because
just
we
want-
piss them
Why?
off.
How is this going to be attractive?
It's not.
How are you going to sell this? Guys, you got to come over here and come to our county convention
Oh,
or come to
goodness.
our county meeting thing.
You
because
knock on the door.
It's
and
almost as if we're talking about how to get Republicans elected.
you knock on the door and they go, and you go, hey, I'm here
Yeah.
with the party,
Right.
and talking about stuff, and they go, I don't want anything to do with the fucking.
yeah. I don't want to look at
And
you
you
in the
go-
face. I want to look you in the eyes. Get out of here.
You know,
Off my lawn.
I've got folks in Allegan County, dear friends that have been delegates for a long time, that they're just like, well, I'm done. Can't.
Yeah.
We're just, you
Yeah.
boys, I'm proud of you in Berrien because you're on the upswing. We're not.
after
And you've gotten
after they pissed me off in the party, I went one time last year to county convention, last year or the year before, whatever it was, and got elected to go to state.
Mhm.
And I went to state and I stood there during the 8.5 hour marathon, however long that was. And I'm like, oh my, it was
painful.
horribly painful. And I'm like, dude, it was just, I was like, wow,
know,
man.
Which one
this
was
is
it?
know
Which
why?
one was it?
Flint.
Flint, IMA.
Man, we're coming full
Oh,
circle.
In the arena
Yeah, I was there.
where District 4 was seated, not on the floor.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was there.
I was there too.
That's really a segue. Can we keep going?
Yeah,
Yes,
buddy,
go
let's
back
do it.
here.
All right. So
We're not over here anymore. Does it
we're not
matter?
over here anymore.
Is that online?
Just keep
Can that
talking, I'll
online-
pull it
Okay.
up.
Here we go. Here we
All
go.
right. So number five.
Number 5.
Is kind of brain dead, right? Threats,
What do you think?
fines, and intimidations.
What is, it,
And
what is it? But what does that mean? Threats, fines, intimidations.
you,
Is they can't.
well, if
It doesn't
you,
fall in the category.
I'm gonna let you in my convention. I'm gonna let you vote, but you better vote exactly how we tell you to vote, or else
This coming from party chairs.
So
and leadership.
would this be meaning involving coercion?
coercion.
Okay, that's
Coercion.
a good, that's a
So-
good
There are
word.
young
Yes.
ladies. There are young ladies and other young middle-aged, not so young lady in other conventions that they're concerned about their well-being when they're in these environments. That crap's got to stop.
Yeah, because some thug will come over there and start strong arming them, and
You got some big guy with a gray beard and whatever, and and he's in your face, and
So
I've
I've got a
already
gripe
been
here.
threatened to sue.
Hey, you're
be
talking
sued.
about us here. Come on now.
That was a little joke.
I've already been
yeah.
threatened to be sued already.
oh, so let me
Yeah.
tell you the quick.
I'm surprised
for
you.
defamation. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
Surprised
like,
you haven't.
what?
Surprised
I
you
said-
haven't been sued
I
where
said-
you're at.
Oh, you're one of those people.
One of those.
They don't
people.
realize when you're in the trucking business, you get sued about every other day. You see a lawsuit, so bring it.
It ain't
it's-
shit.
Yeah.
You're one of those.
And plus, you know
people.
what? I asked this person who was threatening to sue me. I won't mention names, but I'm like, refute anything I said that was wrong. Then, if like you're saying you're going to sue me for defamation, what did I say wrong? Silence. Not a word could be said.
Wow.
Just got to use the word allegedly every now and again, and you're good.
Exactly.
So
You're an allegedly an asshole.
But do you mean they feel they can intimidate you because some people
course.
have been sued and they've had to go to court over it and spend a lot of money. And it's like, this is ridiculous.
So
Hellish, yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you're one of those.
I don't believe you people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Nice. Tropic
Oh, boy.
Thunder.
And on that note,
Never go for a retard.
but sorry, I had to play a clip.
So, I mean, this, like you said,
But-
we're within the same party and
Yeah.
we're having to waste our time doing this crap.
So let me give you
You know?
a quick one. Patrick, one of my regular co-hosts on Tuesday nights, who I told him the table was full and his voice is messed up, so he didn't come tonight. But Patrick, he went with me. He rode with me to Flint. Okay, he comes in there. Whoever was in charge didn't have enough lanyards for any of the tables. Somebody told him, "Oh, well, just go over to another table and grab a lanyard, and you'll be all set." Just the little strap.
Yep, with a clip.
He had his tag. He goes over and he grabs one off the table and he turns around to walk away. And the lady at the table grabs it. And it was the clip end that she grabbed. He thought it caught on something and he didn't look back and he just gave a little pull and it cut her hand. Okay. Without any other preamble, he is escorted from the building, told he's off the premises, not allowed to be back. Has to call me from outside the building to get the keys to my truck to drive home. I got to figure out another ride home from there. Okay. Nothing. And I'm like, this is all because somebody didn't order enough fucking lanyards to supply the people that are there. And I'm like, is this how we're operating? Is this what we're doing? And then, as you said, the whole point of this is he comes back here and the lady's going to press charges and she's going to do this and she's going to do that. And he ends up having to resign and consult a lawyer, retain a lawyer. I don't know if he had to pay him a fee or if it was a friend that he was at least in conversation with, because Genesee County was going to sue him because of this incident. There was no investigation. There was no presumption of innocence, that it was just an incident. There was automatic, you're guilty, you're out of here. This is how they treat delegates on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna threaten you. We're gonna
due process.
That's why I wanted to point that out. No threats, fines, or intimidation. They're doing that shit all the time in various ways, because I sat with him and he's like, dude, I'm being sued. And we talked, he's like, what's your advice? I said, dude,
And you say he got kicked out of the convention.
he's kicked out. He
So-
kicked out of the convention, and he got kicked out. He had to resign from the executive committee that he was on. He was on the whatever, the canvassers, I think it was, board of canvassers or whatever. All of his offices, he resigned. He's still a delegate, but he had to resign from all of that over that bullshit incident that they never investigated. And that's what's happening.
That's actually why we also have number 6,
All right, let's do it.
because if you have no threats, fines, or intimidations,
Yeah.
number 6 is for a legitimate disruptor in the convention.
He
All right?
literally
So-
grabbed a lanyard off a table and they booted him
Exactly.
out.
So if
what Rich is saying,
Yeah,
mean,
no,
you
I
guys
hear
So
you.
the
really-
point is, if you wanted to expel him from the convention, Robert's Rules has Chapter 61 that covers the process
Mhm.
of expulsion of a person from a convention or meeting for
Right.
something they did in front of everyone. So
Right.
that's why we put that in there, is so that no one can make up some, other
bologna sandwich story.
bologna sandwich process
Right.
in order to expel people.
Yeah.
Now, number 7, we added because we were actually very
were
much
against
against
it.
this
Yeah.
idea, but we wanted to be good committee members and work with our counterparts who thought it was really important to be able to remove delegates.
Because this is a duly elected person. That
It is.
There's no
Yes.
impeachment
And,
process.
when I talked to the, I've gotten into many, they were my friends. Now they're not so much my friends, but I've gotten into arguments with these people who don't support the DBOR. And, that's what they say. Oh, here's a delegate who was an obvious Democrat infiltrator. Here's a delegate who kicked someone in the balls.
Yep.
Here's a delegate
that
who,
happens. Ball kicking just
was,
here's
a delegate who did, this
I don't know about
nefarious
personally.
act or something like that. And, there are cases where that happens. Now, it's 1 in 1,000,
Right.
1 in 5,000.
Right.
So I believe that when they bring those things up, it's a red herring because they just want the power to remove whoever they want, and they'll use the most extreme case to try to justify
Well,
it becomes another form of lawfare.
that. Mhm.
Right. I agree with all that. And I think Jason and I were very hesitant to go along with it. But like I said, we did because we thought if we would show a little bit of compromise, we could get a package. And you'll see that the way it's set is you requires a 60% quorum of all delegates and 80% passage. And so, that's a fairly high threshold.
And
Very high threshold.
Is there
yes.
any dynamics of, going back to it real quick, is there any dynamics of a trial aspect? Is there any dynamics of the
You've got to
present
a
case?
body.
You can't just get up there and go, hey,
Right.
Joe Blow over here did something we don't like and we want him out. You actually have to have a rebuttal.
You've got to convince a quorum of 60%. So just for numbers' sake, if you've got 100 delegates in your county, you've got to have 60
so
of
the person
them present.
has a right to face their accusers.
Yeah.
Well, no. This is just the baseline. You've got to have 60 people there.
Yeah.
And then out of that, what's 60% or what's
48.
80%? Okay. And you got to convince 48 of them that Ted needs to go. Okay.
So it's a
now
high bar.
Ted's gonna if Ted wants to stay, Ted needs to be there and give his case.
Ted's gonna give a talk.
Now, if Ted is a flaming jackwagon, Ted's
Right.
if Ted's a flaming jackwagon, he's probably going to get booted. But if he comes across,
but hey, maybe that jack wagon's gonna vote for my guy. I'm keeping him. Let's keep that guy. He's my jack wagon.
Some of the biggest assholes are your best rebels.
To your point, Jeremy, we probably wrote this particular section
with a lot of reluctance.
Not only that, but we wrote it 3 or 4 different ways.
As an olive branch, you guys put it as an olive branch to go. All right, we'll concede.
But there were some people that wanted it to be formalized and off in a separate room. Where the wise people would spend several days looking at it. There were other people that said, no, it's got to be at the county convention. This was one of the most contentious ones there was in terms of opinions on how it should be done.
Because they just want to go, no, you're done. I'm done with you.